I want to thank the New York Football Giants for allowing us to see what we're seeing in this Hard Knocks series. When the folks at NFL Films and HBO announced, what was it, about a month ago or a month and a half ago, to say, hey, we've been following the Giants around and there's going to be an off-season Hard Knocks. And a lot of the Hard Knocks conversations that we used to see during the summer series that we really don't see anymore because there's an, I think, appropriate amount of sensitivity surrounding teams cutting players. You used to see that.
Yeah.
I believe when we came on the air the other day, just before we came on the air the other day, I was seeing my network showing the old Jets, Rex Ryan, go get an effing snack, Hard Knocks series.
Yeah, they're playing them all. I was watching the Cowboys this morning.
And just shortly before we were on the air, Mike Tannenbaum was cutting the current head coach of the Minnesota Vikings, Kevin O'Connell.
That's awesome.
Yeah. But you saw the conversation in his office. You don't see that stuff anymore. You don't really see too much office conversations, and that's what we want to see as fans.
Made it so compelling.
Yeah.
Boy, are we seeing that in this Hard Knocks series right now.
I love the first episode.
Wow.
I know we're going to get into the second one right now, but this is what I was super interested in when this was announced. Team building is really fascinating, especially in the NFL, where, every 53, they all matter.
We're letting the Giants are letting us see a lot of stuff because I would imagine they have, to use a jury selection phrase, a lot of preemptory strikes here where, we don't want that out there. Yeah, we don't. But, man, are we seeing a lot. We saw on the program through the first couple of weeks a lot of conversations. We talked about on yesterday's show, because this was revealed in the first episode while we were off last week, about Joe Shane saying, Daniel Jones and not even Patrick Mahomes could succeed behind the line that they were forced to put out there last year due to injuries and everything else. And the revealing conversation that we saw between Joe Shane and Saquon Barkley's agent, where he's like, I'm just not going to put a number out there. We're going to let Saquon test the market. But if Saquon really doesn't want to be a Giant for life and be in the Ring of Honor, he's got to, can we get your word that you'll circle back to us once you find out what the market is? So if we're in the neighborhood, we'll have a conversation of matching it. And then we hear the conversation that Joe Shane has with Saquon to say, hey, we're going to let you test the market. Gosh, it really is awesome. And we also now are seeing through the combine weeks and the talent evaluation weeks of the off season, we saw what I was always wondering the conversation is like when I'm sitting in the booth and our cameras are zooming in on the luminaries that are watching the proceedings. Like, what's the conversation like? And you're seeing Brian Daboll and the rest of the staff of the Giants chit-chatting in their suite, which is where teams are mostly stationed. Although one of Daboll's predecessors, Tom Coughlin, always used to sit on the 10-yard line of the 40-yard dash line so he could personally hand time the 10-yard splits. Coughlin got pissed at me one year when I took out my BlackBerry and took a photograph of him.
He said
for my freshly made new Twitter feed.
And you posted it?
Yeah.
And what did he say?
I took a picture, and he said to me, "Come on, Rich, you're better than that." That's what Tom Coughlin said to me.
The early days of
social media. I did feel shame. I felt shame. But now Daboll and the Giants brass are like most teams. They've got their own suites. The food gets served behind them. They sit there, and they talk about running 40-yard dashes themselves. Do you see this one? Brian Daboll saying he could run a sub 740. Now, this is before he lost the weight. This is Daboll in full bloom.
Full bloom Daboll.
Yeah, full bloom Daboll. Write it down.
Write it down.
Pre Blue Govey Daboll. At any rate, you're seeing these comments, but it's laugh out loud funny because they're all telling him he can't do it. He can't run a sub. And I saw all the preview links to this because people were tweeting them at me saying Dayball thinks he can run sub 7. You run damn near 6 flat in a suit. What do you think?
I don't think so.
Listen, but I can't tell. Look at him right now. Maybe now. Look at him right now.
He looks good now.
He looks great.
When we saw him at the Super Bowl, I don't think he could run 7, TJ.
But it's just funny hearing what these guys are talking about. But in all seriousness, the real reveal is the stuff that happens every year when a top prospect, certainly at quarterback, comes into a building and they put the kid on the board. What does that mean? It's a grease board or a chalkboard or whatever, and they tell him to draw up a play, or they say, or they say, this is our play. This is the way we call it. This is what our terminology is. Do you know what our terminology is? Can you draw the play up knowing what our terminology is? Can you then read back what the play is to us? Can you then draw it up? And you saw the top prospects of the NFL go through. You saw Jaden Daniels do it, and you saw Drake May do it. And I don't know if Patriots Twitter lit up over this for you.
People were excited.
Because Drake May, the phrase I used prior to the show I'll bring here, he was a pinball wizard at it. Jaden Daniels is very good at it as well, as you might imagine. And trust me, as everybody keeps thinking I bring this subject matter up to try and hunt and peck for evidence that my rumor that I came back from the combine with, that the Giants were over Daniel Jones, is right, even though Daniel Jones is 100% the hope for the Giants' 2024 season to A, be ready, and B, prove that his contract that he was rewarded with at the time, very friendly for him, and also now, in retrospect for the team, $40 million a year contract, is worth it, and that he might actually be able to play deeper into it. Although the $12 million a year running back is not there to hand off to for the $40 million a year quarterback. And they go, again, those are phrases that now come from Joe Shane's mouth, thanks to the Giants allowing that to slip through the goalie, if they are that, with their content for this series. But I'm not doing this to hunt and peck for information that makes me feel like I was right. Again, I'm just reporting rumors. This is not this is the one time I do it. By the way, I screwed up. I have a master's degree in journalism, not a bachelor's degree in journalism.
How could you?
My buddy Paul caught that mistake on our YouTube feed.
Congrats.
Selling yourself short, man.
I did sell myself short.
Bob Costas
but I did
that.
also then say it was a degree shy of being Dr. Television, which makes now sense that I knew it was a master's. I don't know why I called it a bachelor's. But at any rate, long story short is I only traffic in this stuff once a year. So if I'm wrong, I don't really care.
You stay in your lane.
Truly, the Giants love Drake May. I heard it over and over again. I'm wondering if we're going to see in future episodes of this series, are they going to let us in the draft room in the way that we've been let into these meeting rooms? Are we going to get that sort of access? Because that would blow my mind.
You would hope.
One of the preview clips I saw was from the draft room when they were praying that Malik Neighbors was going to be there.
Now, that's fine because they wound up with the kid.
Right.
They wound up getting him. They wound up getting him, and they are going to wind up really depending on him and hope that he can be a difference maker for a team that sent essentially, based on even their own admission and their own conversations in the room, their offensive identity. They allowed him to check out his market, and he's now down the turnpike in division with a rival, ready to stick it to him. Mm-hmm. So yes, they're happy, I imagine, the Giants, to show you how much they were hoping Malik Neighbors would drop because they got the kid. Are we going to see whatever conversations happened with Elliott Wolf with the Patriots that wound up being fruitless for them because Drake May really did well on that grease board in episode 2 of this Hard Knocks series?
That was a cool clip, though, that I did see from last night of the Giants spotting the Patriots on the other side of the combine. Joe Shane taking a walk all the way around, knocking on the door, and telling Elliott Wolf, hey, look, if you're thinking about moving the pick, just give us a heads up.
Yeah.
So we can make an offer.
Right. And that's a way that maybe somebody saw Joe Shane walking around the combine, knocking on the door of the Patriots, and maybe someone from the Patriots was talking to somebody else. Hey, because this is the way that works. Honestly.
Right.
Hey, over a drink or two, guess who stopped by and asked us for our pick today? And then suddenly that winds up being told to somebody who winds up telling me from multiple people that the Giants are done with Daniel Jones.
And you saw the Giants' concerns in the first episode of, hey, look, this is a guy with 3 major knee injuries.
This is the way teams get built.
I love it.
And rosters get massaged and worked over.
It's so good.
And that's why I started by saying thank you to the Giants for saying, okay. It really is fascinating. And I suggest everybody seek it out. Obviously on Max, which you can see right here on Roku. Look at us.
Boom.
Catch the Rich Eisen Show every single day on the Roku channel, 12 to 3 Eastern, for free.